Daniel Cormier, how are you?
I'm good. Hanging out. Kind of seems like deja vu a little bit.
Yes.
We're doing it again.
Last time we did an interview in your hotel room before a fight was 3 days before UFC 182. Exactly the Wednesday night before UFC 182. That time you were a challenger going into a big fight against Jon Jones. Now you're the champion going into a very big fight against Jon Jones. Could I ask, what is the difference between this Daniel Cormier and that Daniel Cormier, other than being the champion, of course, just in terms of the actual man?
Confidence. More confident now. You know, as we talked in that hotel in Vegas the first time, I was a bit. I was a bit overwhelmed by the whole situation. It was a lot. I mean, headlining the MGM Grand. I had never done that. Fighting Jon Jones. First UFC title fight. There were a lot of firsts as I went into that fight. As a man, I'm much more mature. I'm married now. There's just a lot of different things and aspects to me that have changed. Now the reality is, all that doesn't matter. I just have to be a better fighter come Saturday night.
Do you think about that build-up? Oh, this is different. I feel different. This one, like, do you compare it, or does it feel too long ago to actually compare?
No, I compare it. I can feel it. I can feel it in not only uh, the build in terms of what the UFC is putting into building the fight, but also our interactions. I can feel it in how him and I interact with each other more and more. And as we get closer, I feel a difference in the way that we interact. So before, I felt like I was the angry challenger, like mad. I am the guy that represents the world. We've got to get rid of Jon Jones. There's room in this world for both of us.
Hmm.
I don't care if the world gets rid of Jon Jones. The world wants to love Jon Jones, love Jon Jones. I don't care. I do not represent these people. I represent myself, my family, my team. And the fans that do care, I appreciate them. They follow me, they propel me. But everyone else, they can deal with their stuff on their own.
When and why did you stop caring?
I think I had to come to terms with our our society is different. You know, you cannot tell them who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. I don't write the narrative. This is not wrestling. It's not professional wrestling. I can't say, I'm going to throw a flag on one guy and he's the good guy and say that the other guy's the bad guy. You can't do that. You have to let people think for themselves. And I think the big eye opener was that one press conference. When John first got back, and I walk out there as the champion, and people said, "You are not our champion." They booed you. They booed me terribly. "You are not our champion," and they cheered for John. And I said, "Oh, okay, I get it. I'm sorry. I tried to think for you guys. I'm sorry. I tried to. I'm sorry. I tried to think that I could try to present a certain life in a certain way for them. I can't make them feel like I feel. I can only think for myself. And there are people that support me then and support me now still. But it's very freeing to know that I don't carry that weight anymore."
He says that you're obsessed with the narrative, that you're the good guy, he's the bad guy, right? That's what he says.
He does say that. But I think it's just he has limited vocabulary and somebody taught him what narrative means.
Right.
So he just keeps repeating it. He's not a very smart person. So he finds something that he thinks will stick and he just keeps using it. I don't have to prove that I'm a good person. People who know me know. And even if I wasn't a good person, right now it doesn't matter. And when you're a bad person, the negative things that you do only affect you and the people closest to you. I've learned that in the last 2.5 years, all of John's terrible stuff has only benefited me. So I don't wish that for him, but what do I care?
I wonder if you agree with this. In some ways, Jon Jones is the best thing to ever happen to you, right? Because you're main eventing these shows, you make a lot of money, there's a rivalry, that's all good. But in another way, does he bring out the worst in you? Like, do you enjoy all of this?
I do. I
You
do
do?
actually.
Okay.
You know, there's a side to me that we all have different sides to us. I enjoy the conflict. I enjoy the back and forth. I enjoy it, man. I enjoy talking trash. I enjoy seeing another guy who believes he's the baddest man walking around, and me looking at him and going, "No, you're not, you son of a gun. I am." I love that. This is good. You know, uh, I wish we didn't have so many start stops. You know, of course, I would have loved to have fought John again when I was 36, but the world works the way the world works, and our time is now.
Speaking of start stops, so the Wednesday before the last time we were here was UFC 200. That's when you got the call that he was out. Is it hard to fully believe that this fight is happening until you actually are standing in the cage, or at this point do you think it's happening?
I feel pretty confident. You know, when you listen to him, he's saying he's done everything correct. You know, so I feel like I can only be confident. I don't want everything I have done to be for nothing. You know, I just want to fight. I want to fight, and I want to fight against him. So I do feel confident. I had already received a call from Dana saying I got a call from Dana Monday, and I was so worried.
This Monday?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I saw his number, but it wasn't bad news. It was actually good news.
What was it?
I can't tell you.
Come on, you
Not
can
yet.
drop that.
I've got a big fight coming
What
up.
do you
man.
mean? What do you
Maybe I'll
got?
tell you afterwards.
Is it something exciting as far as your fighting future or TV or what?
It's all very exciting.
Wow. You're going to drop that and then not reveal it.
My biggest pet peeve, I'm not willing to give.
I know,
everybody
that
else,
is your
right?
biggest pet peeve.
That's just the
You'd
way
be
it
harping
works,
on
man.
it.
That is just the way it works. It's the world we live in.
What did you make of John today at the press conference? What did you read from him? Taking off his shirt, stare down?
Posturing. You know, he was very excited to show off his physique. You know, that's why when he told me he looked like a bum, he got up and showed his six-pack. I'm not exactly sure what that was supposed to accomplish. He's always had a six-pack.
Right.
He's always been in shape. He did throw me a volleyball when he called me a crackhead, which makes you don't do that when you've had the issues that he's had. You know what I really liked was when we went face to face, and we were looking into each other's eyes, and generally, and you guys made a compilation of all of our stare-downs. It's me jawing.
Yeah.
I'm always jawing, trying to tell him something to shift him. Today, no jawing. I wanted to look him directly in the face and show him time for talk is done. And I never broke eye contact with him. And I wanted to look directly into his soul and see what it told me. And I saw him shift. I saw his eyes look at my chest and look at my legs and look around and have a really difficult time of just staying face to face.
He said something to you.
He started talking first.
What do you say?
Something like, with your puny ass or something. Like something that you would actually expect from like a villain from the 1980s. It was something down that line. I don't know if it's exactly that, but small ass or like I was so small or something. Like size isn't everything. I'm going to fight, you know. What I saw in Jon Jones was he's a confident man, but he's putting on a little bit more than people will ever recognize until they're 2 inches from his face like I saw. He may be confident, but in those eyes, I see more doubt than I've ever seen. And I believe there are a number of reasons for that.
Do you truly believe that when he fought you the first time he was on steroids?
I do.
You do?
I do. 100%.
Is it a look thing, a physical thing, a feeling? Is it... What makes you feel that?
So, physically, there were some differences, but also logically, there were differences. Medically, there were differences. There were a lot of reasons as to why it point to him doing stuff like that. I mean, I've explained it time and time again, Ariel, a guy that will do cocaine a month before the biggest fight of his career at the time, nuts. Even when he got caught with Rumble Johnson, there's a meme out there. It says the Jon Jones starter pack. It's a Magnum condom, some fucking Cheetos, a weed pipe, and like a Coca-Cola Classic. Right? This was 3 weeks before he fought Rumble. He even had openly admitted that he was driving home and he was a little bit hungover. So if you're going to do things to sabotage yourself, why wouldn't he do things to enhance himself? You know, he tested positive for those two things. brother tested positive for the same two things, the same exact time. There are just so many reasons to believe that he had been cheating. So, yeah, I believe he's 3-0 in the UFC, and he's earned his title shot by beating Gusmao, Bonner, and
OSP.
Cruz. And I'm sorry to Stephan Bonner.
There you go.
I was just in the moment. I kind of forgot his name, Stephan Bonner. I'm so sorry. I know exactly who Stephan Bonner is.
It does seem, though, that the fans and the media, to a certain degree, won't give you the respect that you deserve until you beat Jon Jones, and I think that you accept that, right?
I do. I can't control their thoughts, you know.
But it does feel like everything will change on Sunday if you beat him.
Yes.
Like, I feel like you will be inserted into the greatest of all time conversation. You will go from the guy who people have been refusing to give his due and respect to, wow, all of a sudden people are going to start to look.
But why?
I don't know.
Why?
It should be now.
But that's what I'm saying, look. So even if, so I've been asked this question, Ariel, a number of times. Do you have to beat Jon Jones to secure your legacy, to make sure your career meant? I'm like, how could everything I have done been for nothing if I hadn't beat one person? It makes no sense. I know competitively I need to win this fight. But if it all boils down to one person, then do I really want it? I mean, really, are we so fickle that we can look past 20 other fights and just the one I win on Saturday is the end-all, be-all? Then hell, I should have fought Jon Jones at one fight, won then, and just retired. Because that's essentially what they're saying it is. You know, everything else I've done is just for nothing.
So you don't buy that?
I don't. I think that my career stands on its own. Like, well, look at what I've done. I mean, I've won 13 fights at heavyweight, and I've won 7 or 8 fights at 205. I mean, I've won championships at every level. I just don't understand how a career boils down to one single fight.
I remember seeing you after the first fight, how sad you were after, right? At the press conference. You showed up, you answered the questions, but you were distraught, right? You were.
Yep.
Do you think about that and wanting to avoid that feeling? You've never felt that in MMA before. Do you try to think about that so that you can push to not feel that come Saturday? Do you try to put yourself back in those shoes?
Not only do I think about it, I made a promise to my family and to my teammates that I would never put them through that again. My coaches, I'm not putting them through that again. I'm not putting them through the expectation of something so special and then to fall short and have to really pick me up and build me back up. It was hard on everybody. It was hard on Selena, hard on my children. It was hard on everyone. So, yeah, I think about it. But what I do think about more is the bulletin board material that I received after that fight. Because as I've said on a number of occasions, I lived with that defeat for a long time, having to rebuild myself, watching stuff over and over again. And I watched Jon parade around and say how he wished I was crying. I play in my head over and over, this is combat. I have no sympathy for him. He would be talking trash. I wouldn't, but okay. I've never done that, but okay. All those things have propelled me to train harder, train smarter, be better as we approach the second fight.
Okay. So you are trying to actually...
It's become a positive.
Yeah.
It has to. It has to become a positive.
He has called you... he never has wanted to say that there is a Frazier to his Ali, but he recently called you the Frazier to his Ali. The thing is, Frazier won the first fight, right?
So he's Frazier. Because I'm going to win the second and third fight.
Oh, wow.
So he's essentially admitted that he's Joe Frazier in our trilogy. Because if he was Ali, then he would have to win 2 in a row.
Right.
But if he wins the next one, it's over. There is no Frazier and Ali. So, yeah. But he shouldn't be ashamed of that. Smoking Joe was great, just as Ali was.
The best line of that promo that came out. And by the way, are you bothered that you're not featured a lot in that promo? You're cool with it? You're happy with it?
Cool. I thought they did a fantastic job. The idea was, Jon has had his ups and downs. I'm steady.
Right.
As I've always been. And as you go through all of his trials and tribulations, at a point you just kind of hear me in there. Very steady voice. Talking from a place where you don't deal with all the excess.
You said the best line, in my opinion, is essentially you tied his trials and tribulations to you. Why do you matter in this story? The only way he can become the person that he's been telling us that he wants to be or that he is if he loses to you on the 29th. I thought it was brilliant. How do you think he will handle the loss? We've seen how you handle losing to him. What do you think happens to Jon Jones if he loses that identity of being a champion? Because he has told us it means so much to him.
Scared. I'm scared for him, and I don't know what's going to become of him. It takes a lot to come back from a loss of this magnitude. It takes a lot to deal with having to rebuild yourself when you've put so much time and effort into it. I've had to deal with that and a number of other things to really rebuild myself. So I had experience in trying to get back up off the ground after I'd been knocked down. And a lot of times, the things that I've dealt with were not self-inflicted. They were life. And at times you think life can be unfair. So how does he handle something that is not of his own doing? That's going to be tough.
Do you think your life has prepared you for this? Like that's why you don't handle the loss so badly, because you have been through much worse and you know how to pick yourself up? Perhaps he hasn't?
I've always put it in perspective like that, that at the end of the day, it's a fight.
Right.
Athletic competition. There are so many other things in life that could really put you on your ass. And I've experienced those things. So I just don't know if he's really had to deal with a lot of that stuff, man. Again, he won the belt at 23. So even if he may have grown up in a very tough situation when he was younger, as an adult, the issues he's had have been self-inflicted.
Sports Illustrated recently came out with an article grouping you with the likes of Tom Brady and Didier Drogba, some of the best athletes in the world. And it's basically these individuals are thriving as they get older, as they hit 40. You're 38. Is there a chance, God forbid, things don't go your way on Saturday, is there a chance you say you're done?
Not really, man. I still love the competition. I love to fight. I love the preparation. I love everything about fighting, man. It's what I do. When I didn't have competition, I played 700 games of NBA 2K9. Because I needed something to really get my blood boiling. I need this. I love the game. I love the game. This is fun. This is great. I enjoy it. So I'm gonna be around. And I haven't even been doing this 8 years. Started real late.
I was talking to your cousin. He was telling me that you didn't really when you started. This wasn't really part of the plan. Main eventing, $1 million fights and things like that. Is it still kind of surreal that this you're a prize fighter. You are the definition of a prize fighter. Headlining shows, the biggest card. Does that kind of sometimes do you have to pinch yourself that wow, this wasn't really what I set out to do when I was going into Strikeforce Challengers?
Selena and I will lay in bed at night and talk about that. How we just always kind of dreamt of this becoming something so much bigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were like, man, could this become this big? Because remember, when I started, Kane was on his way to becoming the champ, and I saw how life had changed for Kane. I was like, you think I could be that guy? You think I could actually get to this level and mow the wall and all my friends? And she said something to me once, and it was, Kane makes it real. I'm like, huh? She goes, it's right there in front of you. He makes it real. So obviously it's possible. There's not that much difference between you guys. She goes, he makes it real. So just believe. And I was like, wow. But I mean, I've said time and time again, in the beginning we had nothing. We stayed in a 700 square foot apartment. We had food stamps, had government assistance. And now we have everything we could ever have imagined. I've got businesses, I've got money, my children have everything. They have stuff that I will leave behind me for them. So I think honestly, man, I'm really the American dream. It's what you dream of as a kid. I grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana. We didn't have anything. You came in here and I told you me and Craig sleep in the same bed.
Yeah.
Because that's what we used to do our whole life. There wasn't enough space for everybody to have their own spot. So we just made do. And now we've got everything.
Do your kids understand what's going on this week? Are they old enough?
That's the beauty of it now. Is little Daniel for sure. Marquita, kind of. But Daniel,
How old's Daniel now?
Daniel's 6, Marquita's 5. Daniel understands. So Daniel will actually say stuff like, Dad, I'm going to come to the track with you and run.
I saw
So he'll
that,
come
yeah.
and run because he wants to kind of experience it. Now, what's great about that is that I know he appreciates my hard work because he sees it. Because I remember watching my dad. Now, my dad wasn't running on a track or lifting weights. My dad was working for the city of Lafayette every morning from 8 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Coming home, he would bathe, eat dinner, and leave and go and wash dishes at a pizza parlor. And if he wasn't at a pizza parlor, he was cutting the cemetery. He was always working, and I know how I looked at him. I know what I saw in that man when I watched him. I knew what hard work could mean, and that's why I am who I am today. And I believe my son is now showing that he wants to follow in that type of example and do the same things. It's cool.
It's fun to have him along. He understands who Jon Jones is to you? He gets it?
Yeah, he does. And they're kids, so sometimes they'll say stuff like, Dad, who are you fighting, Jon Jones? I'm like, yeah. They're like, remember last time you lost to him, he was the champion. You weren't the champion anymore, Dad. You're going to be the champion next weekend? And I assured him that Dad's got it under control this time.
How's the weight?
It's great.
Yeah.
215 this morning, so only 10 pounds overweight, which is very light. I'm literally 5-6 pounds lighter than I was the first time. It's so difficult to talk about my weight in the last weight cut because it really does make you look within yourself and know that Anthony Johnson, is a great fighter. But I found comfort in knowing that the path to victory was just I had to reach out and grab it, and maybe I didn't prepare myself to the best of my ability. But this fight's a real fight. It's the one I've been pining for. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
It's amazing that Jon compares the towel thing to, getting popped.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's just comparing those things. He said that it was the dirtiest thing he's ever seen in sport. I said, man, are you out of your mind? Like, we've seen some crazy shit in sport. But I think those are the types of things that Jon needs to make himself feel better. He's very. It's like he's very. He's got a weird way of thinking about things. He's got a very odd way of trying to rationalize a lot of things, and I think the whole time it was Daniel Cormier has never done anything wrong, and I did something wrong, and he's gonna hang on to it. But it's weird though because he doesn't want me talking about his issues, but he's free to talk about mine. Again, it's just dude's crazy.
2 last things. What do you think the story will be Sunday morning? What do you think people will be saying about you Sunday morning?
I think I will get more credit than I've ever gotten. But I do feel as though there will still be a lot of negative.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I do feel that people will want to make an excuse for their fallen hero. They will want to say, he's been gone too long, he'll beat him next time. They will say things like that, and that's okay. I can deal with it, but I am excited to see them actually have to make those excuses.
My favorite aspect of this fight, and it's not talked about enough, is that the first time you came across Jon Jones was at the Honda Center in Anaheim, UFC 121. You were there with Kane, and he said, oh, you're the wrestler guy, I'll take you down. Something to that effect, correct?
Yes.
And now you're meeting there.
It's unreal.
Did that come to mind?
Everything comes full circle.
It's unbelievable.
Everything comes full circle. It's like the foundation was laid for him and I to fight. Shoot, it's almost 100 UFCs ago.
Yeah.
And I remember being at the Honda Center with Kane and cornering him against Brock Lesnar. First time I ever cornered him, and just thinking how massive this whole thing was. And now, I'm the guy on the marquee. I'm the champion. I'm the guy that's a headliner. It's this whole thing has been crazy. This whole thing has just been a roller coaster ride of just unbelievable, just stuff. It's nuts, man.
I stand by it. It's the best fight on paper in UFC history. 1 versus 2. Never happened, may never happen, and it's an honor to be talking to you 3 days before it. Thank you, Daniel.
I appreciate you. Hey, question.
Yes.
Catfish. We were talking. I own a restaurant in Oklahoma.
Yes.
People love the catfish there.
Sure.
I remember once you and I were in New Jersey and they bought you grilled catfish.
Yes.
Has it ruined your experiences with catfish for the rest of your life? Is it done? I mean, is it done?
I don't know if I've ever had catfish.
You did.
No, other than that moment.
And that's it for you?
No. Well, first of all, it's not kosher. My people don't eat those things. Second of all, it's kind of like a bottom feeder, right?
It is.
So
It is.
Who needs that?
You should try it. You should try it at one of my restaurants.
You still remember this?
I do.
Wow.
Stuff like that sticks with me because I just remember the disgust
It was-
on your face. All you had to do was just.
It's one step above like eating pig.
Whoa. To some people, pig's not so bad. I mean, come on.
I just say.
Some of us over here love ribs.
You have a weird memory when it comes to things. You
I
still
do.
talk about the first time we met in Chicago.
Yeah, I do.
The conversation that we had.
So I will remember some very random stuff.
Yeah.
But
And then
sometimes
forget
things
some-
are important, and I just kind of don't remember it. But because it's from my enjoyment, and I just truly love the way your face went when you had that. I knew when you were ordering the grilled catfish, I could have told you that this ain't gonna turn out very well. Like, I mean, I've got a lot of
I hardly
experience
would
with it.
remember this.
But I've got a lot of experience
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Louisiana.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
it's
That's a
our fish
delicacy.
of choice.
Right,
yes.
right.
And I could have told you, but I just so instead of telling you, knowing that you would have a meal,
Yeah.
I let you eat that and you didn't
then-
eat.
I love how I was trying to end this interview on like some emotional moment, like you headlining
Oh,
it,
it's just me.
and it's just catfish.
Yeah,
All right.
it's awesome.
We'll leave it at
I
that.
start talking about food when I'm hungry.
That's good. Yeah, I know. You just say it. Thank
My
you,
man.
Daniel. Good luck on
Appreciate it.
Saturday.